Hey everybody, ready for a new video. Today's video is going to be about how being a punk rocker in the early 80s was not cool. Why do I say that? Okay. I'll mention things once in a while to people, about being a punk rocker or being back in the indie scene or in the early mid 80s, knowing the Melvins or being around when Nirvana started up, that kind of stuff. And invariably, if the person is 30 years older or less, they're like, cool, oh my gosh, that's so cool, blah, blah, blah. And which is, that's cool. I mean, cool, they think it's cool if they're into any music, but being a punk rocker back then was definitely not cool. Okay, we've already mentioned a little bit about how, like the t shirts we had, first of all, no Hot Topic. So now you see people with Black Flag shirts and Misfits shirts and whatever, Dead Kennedy shirts, and they're just, they can go to Hot Topic, they can pay their 20, 25 bucks, they can get their t-shirt, and they can be like Insta retro cool. Back then, there was really only a couple ways to get shirts. I take it back. There was three. I mean, there were a few record stores who would spend the money and order shirts from the record labels or generally from the bands and have a few on site and you could buy them, but that was really rare. Maybe in Seattle there was one or two stores that were like that, but generally speaking in our era, to get a t-shirt for a band, it would be you'd make it ourselves like we did in art class. We talked about that. Silk screen them, or you'd buy them at a show. You'd go see Stalag 13 play and you'd think they were cool, and you might have enough money in your pocket still to spend the $7 or $10 or whatever it was for a t-shirt if you were lucky. Or you'd have to decide, do I want to buy their 7-inch that they brought to sell or their demo tape, or do I want to buy their t-shirt? So once again, it was kind of you had to decide. A little Sophie's Choice, punk rock Sophie's Choice. Anyway, other examples of how it was not cool. I used to wear whatever, my punk rock uniform, t-shirts, I had a jacket thing that I kind of painted up, and whatever it was, self-made. That was enough to get you stopped by a cop walking down the street. Hey, what are you doing here? You live in the neighborhood, and we were pretty good kids. We weren't causing a lot of trouble. Just walking down the road, and a cop will pull you over and go like, why are you here? What are you doing? Because you look like a hoodlum. You're scary, punk rocker. We were in my high school, Foss High School in Tacoma. Many of you probably know it. I think we were four of us, maybe five punk rockers in the whole school. Probably four. Me and George and Bill and the guy that kind of turned us on to it. There might have been one more floating around, but generally that was it. So a perfect example would be, I was thinking about this the other day. Most high schools and middle schools do this too. They'll have like a theme week, right? Where like Mondays is pajama day and Tuesdays is, I don't know, dress up like your whatever favorite actor day or something. Well, I remember they had one of those. And I believe one of the days was either New Wave Day or Punk Rock Day, because back then it was kind of known, but it was just like, hey, you got a mohawk, or you have like, they would do things like New Wave and call it punk rock. Like people thought it was Devo B-52s was punk rock, and they go, oh, you like Devo, whatever. Anyway, I remember they had that day. And in Foss, you had in the center of the school, there was kind of this big open area that was had desks, and I think it was kind of a library, but it was kind of a hangout area and whatever. So on that day, the cheerleaders were doing their routine to the Go-Go's We Got the Beat, which of course, we hate the Go-Go's, we hate all that kind of stuff because we're punk rockers. And so the cheerleaders were doing their routine, and like we said before, we were able to somehow play music in classes. We'd always have our little tape player with us. Well, that day, I actually think we had some singles or some vinyl with us. And somehow, because they were playing the We Got the Beat on a record player in that area. So it was like you're in kind of like a library. Cheerleaders are doing a routine. People are kind of randomly watching it or kind of bored. Some are watching it like, oh, cheerleaders. But somehow we convinced them to let us play some of our real punk rock. This is real punk rock. Let us play this. I don't know how we did that. So I can't remember all what we played, but I definitely know we played this. And that was Youth Brigade from Washington, D.C. And for any of you who know this, it's pretty great. I'll post a link. I think the whole EP is on YouTube. I'll post a link at the bottom here, and you can check it out. But then listen to it and imagine the cheerleaders are just doing their routine to the Go-Go's. You know, we got the beat, and then they got this, and it was definitely looked like you can imagine early '80s cheerleaders. This was probably '82. Early '80s cheerleaders are looking like they all just smelled the worst fart they ever smelled. They were hearing this music, and of course we were just like joyously playing it as loud as possible while everyone kind of just looked on in like horror and disgust. So anyway, that is my story for today.